Welcome to Comedy MX's Cartoon Classics channel. Binge out on the animated Superman, Popeye, Bugs Bunny and Friends, Technicolor classic tunes, animators UB Iwerks and Max Fleischer, Mickey Mouse, Betty Boop, and all your cartoon favorites. Animate your everyday at Cartoon Classics channel. So return with us now to those golden days of yesteryear.
And now stand by for adventure.
3, 2, 1.
In the exciting story of the Evil Eye. The Wonder Rocket Travel Lab slows to a gentle stop. Up radar scope. For the first time, Squeek and Scratch peer into the vast expanse of Galaxy 9. Here among colorful planets and glittering stars lies the greatest terror of the space lanes, the deadly sea of liquid air. Only recently, 6 Martian cruisers plunged into this watery grave. But now Colonel Bleep has arrived to chart this deadly trap for a space map of the universe. With the exact location known to space pilots, the sea of liquid air will never again be a menace to interplanetary space travel. Down radar scope. Proceed on course. Unknown to Bleep, however, this swirling sea holds even greater dangers. For this is the secret lair of Black Patch and his band of cutthroat buccaneers. At this very moment, the villain's powerful space galleon plows through heavy waves, then stops as the evil captain scans the horizon in search of plunder. Shiver me timbers, there she lies, the Travelab rocket, pride of the skies. Load the torpedoes and batten the hatch. We'll make her a coffin for Bleep, Squeak, and Scratch. Through his giant periscope, the wicked pirate anxiously waits as the unsuspecting colonel guides the traveling laboratory into a deadly ambush. Already, Squeak and Scratch are busy at the charting instruments. Through the Futomic survey scope, the caveman sights the position of a planet to the left of the ocean. Mark 1 planet to the left. Check. Then across to the other side. Mark 1 star to the right. Check. And now within the sea itself. Mark 1 blinking eye dead ahead. Check. Blinking eye? Bleep takes over to see for himself. But there's nothing there at all. Scratch checks again. And there it is. A blinking eye as plain as can be. But Bleep and Squeak are sure Scratch is just seeing things. So the caveman is relieved of duty and sent to his quarters to rest. But he cannot rest. For suddenly, his nose begins to twitch. And that's a sure sign of trouble. Terrible trouble. But what? And where? The eye, of course. That mysterious blinking eye. There's no time to lose. No time to explain to Bleep and Squeak. The caveman must investigate alone. Quickly, he leaps aboard his space scooter and opens the launching tube hatch. But look, it's too late. Torpedo alert! Torpedo alert! Black Patch has struck. Bleep leaps to the controls, but the travel lab is too big to escape. The torpedo zeroes in for the kill. But hold on. Scratch has spotted the torpedo. He's diving straight into the path of the missile. He's flipped it over. It's heading back. Bullseye! Yes, thanks to Scratch, the travel lab is saved. And now Bleep and Squeak know there really is a blinking eye. Or at least there was.
And now, stand by for adventure.
3, 2, 1.
In the exciting story of Exposed.
It is early morning on Colonel Bleep's 00 Island headquarters. And for the third time this week, Space Deputies Squeak and Scratch are scheduled for a practice space scooter flight to the moon and back.
Space cadets, fall in. Space cadets, report.
Quickly, the caveman and the puppet report their scooters have been double-checked, their flight instructions carefully read, and preparations made for all possible emergencies. But no one has noticed that during Bleep's pre-flight inspection quiz, little Squeak had secretly kept his fingers carefully crossed. Since he had safely completed this same practice flight twice before, the puppet hadn't bothered to double-check his scooter, study his flight instructions, or even prepare for emergencies. Worse, the cocky Squeak had laughed to himself as he watched Scratch follow Bleep's flight rules to the letter. There goes the signal.
3, 2, 1. Scramble.
They're off. Already, Squeak is in for trouble, for by neglecting to double-check his scooter, he failed to notice his fuel tank is nearly empty. Luckily, however, he is able to land and quickly refuel without being seen by Colonel Bleep. By this time, Scratch was well on his way. He had studied his flight instructions and was able to avoid a heavy rain cloud which loomed directly on his course. The caveman obeyed every flying rule of outer space. Stopped at all stop signs. Waited at all space train crossings. And of course, followed all detour instructions, just as a good space deputy should. Meanwhile, little Squeak, already behind schedule, is quickly delayed again. Having failed to study his flight instructions, he is unable to avoid the heavy rain cloud. To make matters worse, his wipers bogged down from the dirt on his unpolished windshield. When, at last, the puppet recovers his bearings, good old Scratch is rounding the moon and heading back home. In a desperate effort to make up lost time, Squeak streaks for a shortcut, completely ignoring the sign which reads, "Dangerous passage, keep out." Too late, the puppet learns his mistake, for the cave-in traps him deep inside. At 00 Island, Scratch skids to a halt to wait for his friend. As time passes, the puppet still does not arrive, and so Scratch retraces his course and finally spots the familiar cowboy hat of the little puppet. As he is fully prepared for all emergencies, the caveman is able to free his helpless companion and save him from a terrible fate. And so, thanks to good old Scratch, the careless puppet arrives at last, safe and sound, back on 00 Island. With a sigh of relief, Squeak discovers Colonel Bleep is still unaware of his carelessness. But seconds later, little Squeak receives the shock of his life, for Bleep is unveiling his very latest invention, a Futomic photo memorizer. With this clever device attached to the powerful radar scanner, the spaceman is able to make a motion picture record of the morning training flights. The puppet's heart is in his mouth as he watches Bleep's movie reveal each step of Scratch's flight to the moon and back. Shaking with fear, Squeak listens as Bleep congratulates the caveman on his excellent flying. Then the Colonel turns to Squeak, and the puppet faints dead away, for he knows the next movie will expose his carelessness forever. But luck was still with the puppet, for Bleep had only taken pictures of Scratch's flight. Tomorrow was the day when Squeak's test would be photographed. And you can just bet that tomorrow will be different, for the puppet has learned his lesson.
And now stand by for adventure.
3, 2, 1.
In the exciting story of the Firebomb.
Of all the wonders of Futurian space science, none is more valuable to the people of the universe than Colonel Bleep's fantastic invention, the Futurian robot. One by one, these mechanical marvels have been skillfully trained to master every important duty of modern space life. The Master Robot Guidex is in full command of busy Space Station X1. Control Robot Synchro guides all traffic through the Milky Way Turnpike. Special mechanical engineers man all interplanetary transportation craft, from roaring space trains to small but speedy skyway cars. Step aboard, please. Indeed, without these skillful mechanical men on the job, interplanetary space life would quickly grind to a halt. But there is no need to worry about that, for there is enough high-precision Robolube in the great Futurian oil well to keep every robot running on perfect schedule forever. Fill me up, please. Yes, my clever mechanical friends. Fill up while you can, for at midnight you shall be dry. First, I shall empty your tanks. Then this powerful firebomb is set to explode at 12 to destroy your life-giving oil well. Up, Grizzo! There's work to be done. Sizzling Saturn, Doctor Destructo and his pet gorilla are off to empty the oil tanks and set fire to the Robolube oil well. Futurian Fire Control Center, a powerful fire detector scans the sleeping sky. Ever alert for the telltale smell of smoke. Smoke! Great galaxies, Grizzles, Firebomb has exploded on schedule. The Robaloo oil well is a mass of blaze. Robot firemen leap to the call. But look, Destructo has emptied the tank. The entire brigade is grinding to a halt. The wicked plan is working. The mechanical robots have stopped. There's no one left to put out the fire. Hold everything. Here comes Colonel Bleep with Squeek and Scratch. They'll put out the fire. But how? The Colonel knows the frosty foam from this supercharge of frigid plutonium 505 will do the job if it can only be placed directly into the blazing oil shaft. But who could survive those terrible flames? Without delay, the fearless deputies volunteer. But little Squeak is a puppet made of wood. Surely he cannot go. And Scratch. But where is Scratch? Oh, no! There on the robot fire truck. It's the caveman himself inside a fireproof fireman suit. There he goes, carrying Bleep's supercharge of foamy frigid plutonium. He's risking his life to save the priceless robot oil supply. It's working. The flames are dying down. The fire is out. Hooray! And there's good old Scratch, safe and sound in his fireproof fireman suit. And so, for his bravery, the gallant caveman was made honorary chief of the Futurian Robot Fire Brigade. All of which goes to prove that oil's well that ends well.
And now stand by for adventure.
3, 2, 1.
In the exciting story of
Fire water! Far out in space, 3 cargo ships from Jupiter wing their way to a distant galaxy. Suddenly, passing the volcanic world of Thor, they're caught in a violent eruption. The ships are gone without a trace. The terrible space storms of Thor have struck again. But now, in the Wonder Rocket Travel Lab, Colonel Bleep, Squeak, and Scratch are on their way to survey and chart the exact position of this treacherous planet on a map, a space map for safer space travel. On his visoscreen, the Colonel briefs his crew. Immediately following the next eruption, the Travel Lab will zoom in on Thor. A spray of water from the forward guns will protect the ship from the planet's blazing heat as they make a low-altitude run to survey Thor's exact position. But they must speed off to safety before the next space storm erupts. Unknown to Bleep and his crew, however, the wicked Doctor Destructo is already at work on a treacherous plot to send the Travel Lab to a fiery doom. If this culprit has his way, the spray guns on the Colonel's rocket will not be filled with water at all, but with highly inflammable rocket fuel. They will all be lost in a blazing inferno. Now back aboard the Travel Lab, Bleep spots an approaching space tanker. According to plan, the traveling laboratory will take on the water supply for its spray guns in a mid-space cargo transfer from such a craft. But Bleep is unaware that this spaceship is not the water-carrying tanker. No, indeed, this cargo ship is filled to the brim with highly inflammable rocket fuel, and the pilot is the evil Doctor Destructo himself.
Prepare for contact, Travel Lab.
Sizzling satellites? This is terrible. Scratch is opening the intake valve on the reservoir tanks. In seconds, they'll be filled with explosive rocket fuel. Don't turn that nozzle, Scratch! Don't do it! Stop! Stop! It's too late. He's turning it on. But wait, what's he doing now? Great galaxies, he's filling his drinking cup first.
Oh, oh, oh.
That's not water. Scratch knows something is terribly wrong. Quickly, the caveman ties a knot in the end of the snorkel hose. Now, as Destructo pumps the explosive fuel through the hose, it's trapped inside. Bigger and bigger the hose swells until inside the tanker, Destructo sneers with glee. The gauge of his cargo tank reads empty. The villain is sure the deadly load has been transferred to the Travel Lab. So away he speeds. But the spaceman and his deputies have the last laugh this time. Now Squeak takes careful aim. Scratch loads the forward launching tube. Destructo's plan has gone wrong, and you can be sure he's pretty burned up about it.
Ready? Aim! Fire! Prepare for contact, Doctor.
And now stand by for adventure.
3, 2, 1.
In the exciting story of
The Ghastly Ghost. The stars of the heavens twinkle softly this night, for all is peaceful throughout the universe. Then, suddenly, a speeding object streaks towards the Earth, heading straight for the island base of Colonel Bleep. Instantly, the searching eye of the Colonel's roto-scanner spots the approaching invader.
Red alert! Red alert! Prepare for attack!
But wait, the saucer streaks right past 00 Island.
All clear! All clear! Danger is past!
But is the danger past? Colonel Bleep is not so sure, for there was something very familiar about that mysterious flying object. Through his powerful scanner, Bleep continues to track the saucer, watching it finally dip to Earth at the base of the giant pyramids of Egypt, some 3,000 miles away. Now the Colonel knows that the danger is only beginning, for this is the sinister flying saucer of Doctor Destructo, master criminal of outer space. Yes, Destructo has come to Earth to rob the treasure-rich tombs of the ancient Egyptian rulers. Quickly, the doctor's trained baboons begin the plunder, bringing load after load of the precious treasure from the first pyramid to their wicked master. Already, however, Bleep and his trusty space deputies are on their way with a plan to catch the thieving villains by surprise. Now only 2 pyramids remain untouched, but which will Destructo rob next? The Colonel knows they must watch both, and so he sends Squeek and Scratch to guard the first, while Bleep prepares to protect the second pyramid. The trap is set. Now they can only wait. But unknown to Bleep and his friends, Destructo's sly baboons have figured out Bleep's plan. Disguised as mummies, these terrible creatures are already watching the puppet and caveman's every move. With no one to stop them now, the wicked baboons scoop up the treasure and run. But look, it's another mummy, a giant mummy. Even Destructo shakes with fright, then flees for his very life just as fast as his saucer can carry him. But now, the giant mummy turns to Bleep. Here it comes! Run, Colonel! Run! But Colonel Bleep is laughing so hard he can't even move. And no wonder. Just look at that giant mummy now. It's actually only little Squeak riding piggyback on good old Scratch. Yes, the night had ended on a laugh, and in no time at all, the Egyptian treasure was safely back in place. So, once again, Doctor Destructo has learned that trickery does not pay. For this time, his trick had come back to haunt him.
And now stand by for adventure.
3, 2, 1.
In the exciting story of
The Greedy Gorilla. The space lanes of the universe are filled with flying craft of every description. Heavy cargo cruisers speed from planet to planet. Long-range cruisers streak through the galaxy turnpike, while long space trains depart on split-second schedules at Space Station X1, crossroads of the universe. Indeed, the spaceships of the galaxies are marvels of the space age. But in all the universe, there is no spacecraft which can compare with Colonel Bleep's Wonder Rocket, the Travel-Lab, flagship of the Interplanetary Space Command, the biggest, fastest, most powerful spaceship of them all.
Yes, Grizzo. Bleep's Wonder Rocket is the most
powerful spaceship of all now. But this super strong plutonic time bomb will soon blow the travel lab to smithereens. Listen, Grizzo. Listen to my plan.
Great galaxies, the evil villain and his grizzly gorilla are planning to plant that terrible time bomb aboard the Colonel's super spaceship. Bleep, Squeek, and Scratch are in terrible danger, yet completely unaware of Destructo's wicked scheme. At this very moment, the unsuspecting spaceman sits in the pilot cabin, skillfully guiding the mighty rocket along its course, while Space Deputy Scratch mans the power controls in response to the Colonel's command. And there's little Squeak, hard at work in the galley, preparing supper for the hungry crew. Just look at that luscious chocolate pie he's placed by the galley porthole to cool.
Yes, Grizzo, just look at that pie. It's the perfect hiding place for our deadly time bomb. It will never be found there until it's too late. Off you go, Grizzo. Straight for the travel lab.
Sizzling Saturn, there he goes. The travel lab is doomed. In only minutes, Destructo's trained gorilla arrives unseen alongside the Wonder Rocket. Quickly, the beast hides the deadly time bomb inside the chocolate pie. Look, the wicked deed is done. Squeak has taken the chocolate pie inside the travel lab, and the bomb is inside the pie. But now, as Grizzo turns to flee, the puppet places still another luscious pie near the very same porthole. And this one is covered with scrumptious coconut.
Coconut. That's me favorite food.
In a flash, the gorilla steals Squeak's second pie. But wait, that isn't a second pie at all. It's the very same chocolate pie that contains Destructo's deadly bomb. Little Squeak only removed the chocolate pie from the porthole long enough to add the coconut topping. And that's the very same pie Grizzo has now. A short time later, Destructo greets his returning henchman.
Good boy, Grizzo. The bomb is set to explode in just 3 seconds. Bleep's Wonder Rocket will be destroyed forever.
That's great, boss. Then we can celebrate with a big slice of this delicious coconut pie.
And that's the story of how little Squeak lost a coconut pie and saved a spaceship, thanks to a greedy gorilla who was gone on coconut.